In this episode of PowerDrift, we bring you the exclusive review of Suzuki's latest big launch in the Indian market, the 2014 Vstrom 1000. Suzuki engineers spent close to 6 months with adventure and off-roading specialists in Europe to understand their needs and to understand what makes them click. This is the first bike from the Japanese marque to offer traction control and get ABS as standard. It is a whole 8 kgs lighter than the model it replaces, and the engine has been significantly worked on to make it lighter and more powerful. And to see what all of this translates to, we have set out on a long haul to Bengaluru to test its mettle. Styling on the V-Strom is simple yet distinctive thanks to its front beak, which has been inspired from Suzuki's first on-off motorcycle, the DR Big. But what I like the most about this design is this practicality. You see, the biggest grudge I have with adventure bike, no matter how good they are, is their tall seat height and their weight, which makes moving them in parking lot and especially in the trails a task in itself. Which is why I love how in the V-Strom it's so easy to plant your feet on the ground, and that's because of the new seat design and also the V-twin engine configuration, which allows for a slim and low seat height as compared to the other adventure bikes. Ergonomically, this is a class act. I mean, this has been tailor-made for long distance touring. If you look at the handlebars, they are tall and wide. The seats are nice, comfortable, well padded and grippy. The RBMs are nice and big, and the instrument panel offers a host of information at a glance. Even the foot pegs are nice and front set, making for a really comfortable posture. Then you have the windscreen. It's 9-way adjustable. If you're my height, I think you will have to go for a taller windscreen, because even in the taller most bracket setting, I felt that there was a lot of buffeting. You have the cooling system on this, which is also fantastic. I mean, despite being a V-twin, I hardly ever noticed the engine heating up a lot. The most exceptional thing about this bike for me was the ride quality. The way the V-Strom glides over the bumpiest of road surfaces with such composure, it really blows you away. And this despite the suspension being a little on the stiffer side. On the move, the first thing you notice is how smooth the engine is. I mean, this has to be one of the most refined V-twins that I've ever ridden. There is a small buzz around 6,000 RPM in the lower gears, but it disappears as soon as you shift up. And shift up you will, because I just could not get enough of the V-Strom's strong, meaty torque. And of course, its beautiful exhaust note. It pulls strongly in pretty much any gear, and I think it more than makes up for its relatively low power. Especially for this bike being a really fantastic touring machine, the low power actually helped me relax, take in the scenery and still make really good time. Then there's the traction control. Now the unit on this one is not as advanced as some of the systems on its European rivals. But having said that, it works really well on the road, and it proved to be a masterstroke, especially in the rain. I absolutely love how you can toggle between the modes when on the move, and also how smoothly it cuts the power when it is activated. Modes wise, I definitely preferred the first mode, which is a lot less intrusive and allows you to have a lot more fun while still being really safe. The downside, I think the fueling is a little snatchy, especially in the first gear. I'm the kind of guy who always, in all my reviews, says that it needs more initial bite. Well, this one has stupendous initial bite to the point that I think it's a little too much, because looking at the bike and looking at the really long suspension travel, and given the propensity of the front to dive under hard brakes, that compounded with the really strong bite actually unsettles the bike. I would rather have a little less initial bite and more stopping power so that you have really good confidence when you're braking. The manner in which the V-Strom handles the twisting and turning tarmac will leave you flabbergasted, because the new rigid frame and the stiffer suspension setup offer you great confidence and stability in corners. It is not the most flickable bikes around, but once in the corner, the V-Strom holds the line like it's on rails. The slipper clutch ensures composure under downshifts at corner entry, while the linear torque delivery of the V-twin sees you get on the gas early and hard at the exit. So clearly, the focus of this on-off-roader is the paved terrain. But how far will it go when the road ends and the trails begin? And that means handing over the bike to India's most accomplished off-roading racer, the only Indian to have registered top 10 finishes in the international cross-country rallies at Abu Dhabi and Qatar. The man goes by the name CS Santosh. So, how was it, dude? I mean, I saw you flying on the dirt, but what's your take on the V-Strom?
What really stood out for me was to try and see how it would adapt off-road. But just from looking at it, I saw that it had, the ground clearance wasn't all that great, and I saw that it was kind of exposed, so to speak, you know, with the exhaust. And so I had my doubts about the bike, but the bike surprised me, and it handled phenomenally well. You know, I was expecting it to be a little on the heavy side, and I think for a 1 liter bike, it handled phenomenally well. We're not really used to riding with an ABS system, especially off-road, and that was one of my big concerns, because on off-road you like to have as much feel as possible without anything being intrusive, and the fact that I couldn't switch it off didn't make it any better for me.
What do you think about the tires? I mean, those tires did phenomenally well on the tarmac, but what about the dirt?
Yeah, you said the tires more inclined to tarmac use. It was struggling because the tires, I couldn't really get around the corners very well. They're not meant to really go off-road. Yeah, say you were touring and you came across some dirt and you needed to get through it, and it would do the job. Just the fact that maybe the ground clearance isn't there, and then of course you're running alloy wheels, yeah, and the smaller wheel sizes compared to an adventurer that's meant to go off-road. But it still does a pretty decent job.
There you have it, guys. I think that pretty much sums it up. From a verdict point of view, I think the V-Strom is a really good holistic package, in the sense that it has something to offer for everyone. It doesn't really feel out of place when you hit the dirt, but it will need protection, it will need better tires, and the option to switch off the ABS. But overall, as a bike, I think Suzuki have done a fantastic job, and especially with the price tag of 14.95 lakhs, I think it's a really good option for a proper all-rounder that we have here in India now.